Welcome to Board Game Binge, the place where we bring you bite-sized, bingeable board game content from across the industry. I'm your host, James Staley, and in this episode, we're chatting with Randy and Ellen Kirby of We Game Together, a popular YouTube channel focused on their love of board games. Their videos are filled with live plays, posts on what they're currently playing, unboxings, and other shenanigans. Randy, Ellen, welcome to the binge. How you doing?
We're doing great.
Well,
I'll speak for myself. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Well, yeah, I'm doing okay. We started talking about LASIK right before we started this. I had LASIK surgery 3 days ago. So I'm doing wonderfully as a human, but my eyes, not so much.
Are your eyes aching? Like I know people that have gone through this, and it is traumatic, because I guess the best analogy
Can I tell you? Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Tell me.
I love that you used the word traumatic, because when I got in the car, like, he was waiting in the parking lot to pick me up, and it's a 10-minute thing. You are in, they suck your eyeballs out or do whatever they do. I don't know what they do.
Yeah.
And then you're out and they're like, have a great life, basically. And I'm just like, what just happened? So I got in the car and sat down, and like, I started kind of crying right away, because I'm like, what was that?
Yeah.
It was the scariest thing hands-on I've ever done, and traumatizing is the word that comes to mind.
It's two things on this. One is, it's not like the dentist, where if they mess up, you still got like dozens of other teeth, right? Like you've got two eyeballs, right? So they mess up, and if they do them both at the same time, that's where it gets pretty scary. You know, I know that the actual procedure is kind of like those old credit card machines where they, you know, you swipe the credit card back and forth. I hear that's kind of what they do with your eyeball to slice that flat back, pop up the laser.
I'm glad I know this now instead of when I was laying on the table. I was very aware of, like, because they don't put you under, like, you are super duper wide awake.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
In fact, in the middle of the procedure, you stand up and you walk to another table, like, while your eye flap is like open and waving to the world. And then you lay down and the laser's like, zzz. And it's funny you bring up the dentist, because he's like, it's just like being at the dentist, getting your teeth cleaned. I'm like, dude, it is nothing like that. I was freaking out.
I actually know somebody who had, they set it too shallow, and they actually skinned the layer off the eyeball. So yeah, he had like the Ray Charles glasses on, and so I said, hey, what happened? You had the surgery? And he goes, yeah. I go, oh, how's your vision? And he goes, it's not good. I have to wait like 6 months for my eyes to heal, because they literally, like, they went too shallow, and they just literally shaved the layer of my eyeballs off. And it took a long time for it to heal before he could try it again. So not to scare anybody. Look at LASIK surgery, but trust me, it's great.
My number one question, because I had a checkup this morning actually, and everything checked out great. I have 20/20 vision. There's still like kind of a haze on things, but other than that, like, everything looks great. But my first question was, do I have to have a touch-up anytime soon? And they're like, no, you're fine. Because I guess the touch-up is like kind of the same deal, where they got to reopen that flap and go in. So I'm just like, please. No, but so far so good.
Your vision's got to be better than Randy's, I guess, then now, eh?
Oh yeah, we were driving and he's like, can you read that sign over there? I said, yeah. Can you? And he's like, not really. I'm like, whoa.
No, I could read it, but it was like a little.
I couldn't believe it.
Growing up, most of my life, I've had 20/10 vision, which is like better than 20/20. Yeah. And now I haven't had a vision exam for a while. But I think I'm more closer to actually 20/20 again, because like I look at stuff that's far away and I can read it, but like there is a slight amount of like fuzziness around some of those straight line letters and things.
Welcome
like
to
that.
my life, my whole life.
Yeah, I mean I can see perfectly fine still, but yeah, it's interesting.
It's a crazy procedure, and I'm thankful for it that I got to be able to do it. My eyes are really tender right now, and I've been editing all day. So like that dryness, you know what I'm talking about, when you're looking at a dang screen all day and you're like, oh, I can't. So that's where I'm at right now as I'm looking at the screen.
Well, I appreciate you, putting yourself through the torture of actually having to stare at a screen here for this half hour.
Absolutely. Anything for you. Anything for you.
Oh, thank you. I've been waiting to get you guys on this podcast for a while. We've known each other, I guess, now for about, 6 months. As when I first contacted you guys on a game I was working on. We're going to get into that in a little bit. For people who don't know who you are, can you tell everybody just a little bit about yourselves? Like you're a husband and wife. You've got a fairly large family. Tell us a little bit about who you guys are as people.
Sure. We have 4 kids. We've been married for 13 years now. And it's been great. We've had kids pretty much right out of being married, pretty much, within a year. So we're kind of banking on doing our relaxing in our elder years of life than a lot of people do when they're in their 20s and early 30s.
We'll be kicking our kids out as soon as we can, basically.
Yeah. So they'll be out of the house much sooner than a lot of people, and then we'll start our new lives after they all leave the nest.
And what's your day jobs? Like, what do you guys do for a living outside of board game content creation?
So I'm a materials manager at a industrial shredding equipment manufacturing company.
Say that 3 times fast.
But basically, we make a bunch of equipment that helps break down and recycle boxes and corrugated containers and things on the box making side and like the other side. So like the distribution centers from like Walmart and Dillard's and Skechers. And so we have a lot of shredders and a lot of the very big box stores and things in their distribution centers. And then we also have them on the other side for like Kimberly-Clark, International Paper, all the big, tissue and paper manufacturers. You look on any cup, you look on any roll of toilet paper or paper towels in any of your bathrooms across the world, and we probably have a machine or two in any of those manufacturers.
So now anytime you're using the restroom, you can think of Randy. How's that?
There you go. That's a good analogy. That's a good little link. I like that. It'll never be forgotten.
That's the money make. Right?
Yeah.
So that's the money making job, and then we do a few other things that make a little bit of money on the side.
We're photographers as well, so we photograph anything from newborn shoots, senior photos, family weddings. I'm actually in the middle of a wedding that I'm editing currently, so we do that. And otherwise, I'm a mother of 4 beautiful children. Our youngest is autistic, and so there's a lot of therapy in the house all day, every day.
Yep.
Like 6 hours a day, 5 days a week.
It's a lot, but he's just incredible, and I've been amazed at his journey. He's just learning so much, and the therapy's been like huge. So there's a lot going on at all times.
Yeah, it sounds like a busy household. And how did you guys get into photography? Is this something that's been a passion your whole life, or?
For me, yes. I started on my dad's, 55 millimeter, cameras, film and everything. Yeah. The camera that he actually bought when he was stationed in Okinawa during Vietnam. And so I kind of used that most of my life kind of growing up, since I've been like 10, 12-ish. And digital started hitting around 16 or so. So I kind of bought my first little digital camera, which was a point and shoot at the time because there was not a lot of options back then.
Sure.
And it was like I want to say it was a 3.2 megapixel, I think it was, which is one of the biggest, one of the highest megapixel counts you could get at the time.
Best cameras at the time.
Which is kind of a crazy thing to think of. And I just had it as a hobby for a long time. Ellen never really wanted to get in on the business side or anything.
I was 1,000% not into this at all, but when Randy goes into a hobby, he goes big, like he gets into the hobby. So we ended up buying all these different things, cameras, lenses, lighting.
I had way too much money into photography and I was not making a dime.
And then he's like, maybe we should use this to make money. So literally that's how we got started. I didn't know anything about cameras when we first started our photography business. So sorry, first couple of clients.
It's all fine.
No, they're fine. But yeah, it was very much a learn quickly kind of thing for me with that, because it's not like a hobby that I love to do, but now it's like how we pay some bills. So, and it works. It's great. I can edit while he's at work, and
I think anytime you can make money off of a passion too, I mean that's a sweet spot, right? I think that's what everybody kind of aspires to do. Is you have kind of there's jobbies where you're working not making any money, and then there's hobbies that actually pay, and those are kind of the ones I think we all want.
And we use our, equipment for our board gaming stuff too. Like we'll use the camera to record, the video that we made for you, that kind of stuff. So it's perfect.
And now I noticed in some of your videos, there's like you're singing, right? I think even in your very first video, which was I think in August 8th, 2018 or something like that.
Oh gosh.
I didn't know it was that far back.
I don't know what today is.
At least on this channel. I know we'll talk about Dice Tower in a second.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
But so do you have like a background in music or like? Because you play guitar very well and you can sing very well, so there's some kind of...
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. There is some kind of thing. So my mom is very musical. Okay. She's Southern, and she's really into like bluegrass and country and all that. So my mom and I actually we play bluegrass music together a lot. So we've actually done a couple gigs. We go to like jams that are monthly in our area. And it's just a ton of people who come around and you bring your instrument. And if you're good or bad, it doesn't matter. You sit down and you play.
Yeah.
And then I have a background too in singing and leading on a worship team for my parents' church that I grew up in. So always singing since I was a very young child, always playing some kind of instrument. My mom's like, here, play this. Sing this song. I'm like, I don't know how. She's like, you do now. So it's very much like music all the time.
You can tell too that there's a comfort level there in performing in front of people, right? Because I know a lot of people that can either play the guitar or maybe they can sing.
Yeah.
But there's a big difference between that and doing it on camera.
Yeah.
Right? And putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's I think it's just being on a stage on a worship team and just singing up there. But that's not to say that I don't get nervous. Like if I had to sing live, oh man, I would be very nervous. But I think it's always like, because I've sang for weddings, I've sang for funerals, I've sang for so many things.
Yeah.
And once I start like open my mouth and start singing, then I get really comfortable. It's those like moments leading up. So it's fun.
I hear from a lot of people that they have those nerves. They kind of use those to kind of like almost fuel them, right? It helps them kind of almost push them forward.
Channel it.
Yeah.
Channel it, baby.
How'd you guys get into board games in general? Like, is board games always been part of your lives, or is this something that's kind of coming along later on? Or
I definitely came from like a pretty heavy board game family. I mean, we didn't play like games like all the time necessarily, but and
a lot of siblings, or
we played. No, not really. I have a half brother and a half sister that are both about 10, 11 years older than I am.
Okay.
But my parents would play, and then my mom always enjoyed board games. She played board games growing up and things, and she actually had some games from when she was younger. You know, obviously a lot of the typical stuff, Monopoly and things like that. But we also had some more like, if you could have like a higher end of mass market games, we did have a few of those, like Careers or Stock Market. Some of the games that actually did take some thinking did have some like card play for like moving ahead certain amount of spaces. It wasn't just based off of all dice rolling and complete luck. So not that they were like any kind of blockbuster games or anything, but they were fun, and I played them a lot. And then, you know, we didn't play like anything together for the longest time. And I came across Dice Tower because I was looking for board games, and I knew that I enjoyed them. And then I found the hobby market, you know, like so many other people before us. And I probably bought, I don't know, 40 or 50 games by the time I finally found one that Ellen would want to consistently play with me with.
Yeah, that was
I kept trying different genres. I kept trying different, you know, like co-ops and all these different styles, easier games, a little bit harder games, and I just could not find anything that clicked. And then finally, Castles of Burgundy.
Yeah, Randy had me like research. He's like, please, just I'll play anything you want to play. He's like, just find something. So I didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't even know what different mechanics were. Like, what am I even looking for?
Yeah.
So literally, I saw Castles of Burgundy, and I'm like, I love the color burgundy. I love castles. Let's do this. So I bought it, and
not the region of Burgundy, mind you, the color Burgundy.
The color of Burgundy, though I would like to go to Burgundy as well. So that just took off, and it's weird because that's not really like a new gamer type game. There's a lot of combos and thinking and different.
It's definitely not an entry game, no.
Yeah. So for whatever reason, that one just totally, I absolutely love it. It's my absolute
that was
favorite
probably
game.
One of our first like true Euro games, like kind of pure Euros.
Yeah.
Which is always kind of what I wanted to gravitate towards, but I never thought. I'm like, well, Ellen doesn't really like any of these other games that we played. I'm like, there's no way she's gonna like, a heavier midweight kind of Euro. And I didn't know that much about games or anything either, but I knew that it was not like an easy game to play.
Yeah.
And that's the one that she liked. And then we bought a few more kind of Euro games after that, and that's like what she really enjoyed. I'm like, perfect. This is great.
Part of the reason it took me so long to get into the hobby is because I'm oh my gosh, James, I'm really, really competitive. And there was crying, and there was
board flipping, table throwing, things like that.
Yeah, it was not pretty. It was not pretty. And
there's a couple of times where along the way she's like, we just can't play games together.
Yeah, I was like, it's not going to be good for us.
I'm like,
for
come
our marriage.
on, no, I'm like, you can't do that.
Yeah, come on, babe. So actually, like on our honeymoon, we played foosball, and he beat me by 1 point. It was such a luck shot.
Yeah.
How many points do you need to win?
how many
one
extra
more than
points
the
you need to
other
win?
person.
One. So he beat me on our honeymoon at foosball. And at that moment, I was like, we can never play games because this is not going to be healthy. And that's what took me so long to get into it. I actually went on to a board game group on Facebook and I left it. I quit the group. I left it. And I was fully intending to leave Dice Tower too, and just not do it. And because I was thinking that it was like kind of a healthier thing to be like, well, I'll support your hobby, but I'm not going to join you. And then look at us. We're on this board game interview years later. So
sometimes I think it's just find the right game too, right? Like, I'm like this with my wife. I'm like this with my siblings as well, where as soon as we sit down at the table, it's kind of like that's where the friendship ends. and the game begins, right? And
if I can attack anybody at the table, it's going to be Randy.
Oh yeah, I'm target number one every time we play. But it's trying to find those games that you can kind of walk away from the table and everybody's still smiling. Yeah, right? That's kind of the sweet spot.
I find that happens more when we have others join us for game night.
That's all right. More people, the better.
I'm just a baby, but it was cool because I reached out to the Dice Tower community. I'm like, does anybody else have this like major problem where when you lose, you legitimately get mad? Like you're just mad.
Oh yeah.
And a ton of people responded like so positively, and they're like, yes, absolutely. And this is totally like a spouse thing or a partner thing. Like it's a real thing. And I was amazed at how many people were like supportive of my fit throwing, and it felt kind of nice.
I joined a board game meetup group. The Newmarket Board Gamer showed to them. They're an awesome group, and part of that was for me to be able to learn other games other than the ones I own. So I get a chance to experiment with different games and kind of socialize with others. But what I found for me is when you're playing with strangers, you seem to be on your best behavior. Right.
Oh yeah.
And so you're I found the games were actually more enjoyable because I'm playing to socialize. I'm not playing necessarily to win.
Yeah, amen.
And so that would be a little tip I'd have to anybody out there that's like us. They might be hyper competitive, and things can maybe go a little far when you're playing with family.
Yeah.
Join a meetup group, join a board game group with a bunch of people that are strangers, and you will be amazed at how different of a play it is when you're playing with a group like that.
It's excellent advice and 100% true. Yeah.
How'd you guys get into the Dice Tower? How'd that then transition into, because you guys are doing videos for Dice Tower, right? Yeah.
Well, it started out where we would just post what we were playing onto the Dice Tower Facebook group. That's where it all started.
Yeah.
And I would make the pictures selfies. So like our faces would be in it. Hey, we're smiling. Here's our game in our face. And like a ton of people thought that was like the stupidest thing. And like, they didn't really like make fun of me, but they were definitely like, less face, more game. And I said, you know what, when I'm scrolling through the Dice Tower, or any board game group, I like to see like the room they're playing in. I like to see the people smiling. I like to see the laughing and the snacks that you have at the table. Like, it's just, it makes it feel like you can relate to that situation. And it's just fun to see that. And so I was very intentional about like, I want us to be in the picture smiling. So it started out where I kind of got made fun of for doing that. But then after a while, I noticed other people started posting selfies. And then they were like, what are the Kirbys playing? What are you playing this week? What do you think of this? And I'm like, why do people care what the heck we think of this game? So I don't know why it just took off in the Dice Tower that people really were interested in what we were playing. And so people were like, you need to start making videos. And so that's kind of
we just started like most people would which most people that submit stuff to the Dice Tower is on their board game breakfast segment.
Yep.
So we did a segment for that, which is kind of chit-chatted about games, the kind of the lame same old stuff that everybody else does. But I think we're fairly charismatic, I think, and we're usually smiling, and we had decent equipment and things like that. So kind of right off the bat kind of went over fairly well with people just because it was kind of worked fairly well right off the bat.
And you were exceptional at explaining games too. Like I actually thought I was such a fraud for the longest time because I'm like, I play a ton of games, but like I cannot articulate to you how to play this game. I don't know who the heck the publisher is, who designed that. I don't know. How the heck am I supposed to know that? I don't barely know my kids' names today. So, I felt like such a cheapskate being like, I don't really know what I'm talking about, but here's a fun game. But, you know, but then Randy really swoops in then, and he's able to like, this is the mechanic. This is how long it should take with this many people. This is what we like about it. This is what the expansion does for it. So I feel like you've really been like a good mouthpiece.
And you know, we quickly found that like doing full reviews is not our cup of tea. we don't enjoy doing them very much. And I think there's people that are much better than we are at it anyways. You know, can we get to a point where I'm really satisfied with a full review that we're doing? I'm fully confident that we could, but it's like a chore. So we started doing live plays quite some time ago, and that's kind of the direction that we started heading, and you know, in the future is probably what we'll keep doing more and more and more of is some of the live plays and things, and just live chats and things, because that's what we like most about the hobby. Even like we love playing games and stuff, but interacting with people and talking with people and chatting with people. That's our favorite part of the hobby in general. Yeah.
So Monday nights, like when we play our live plays, I just can't wait to see what everyone's been up to all week and chat. Sometimes Rain's like, babe, it's your turn. And I'm like, I'm talking to the people. Leave me alone.
Yeah. You'll see that our live plays don't correctly reflect the proper game length of most of the games we play.
We like to talk.
Usually goes much longer.
So with your channel, the We Game Together, right? So you created this back in, I think it was, as I said, it was August of 2018. So it's been going now for almost 3 years. You guys are over 3,000 subscribers now, which is amazing. From what I've seen and a lot of the content creators I've talked to in this industry, that's usually when you see the hockey stick kind of kick in. And I mean, it really accelerates. So you guys are well on your way. When I look at kind of the evolution of your channel, when you guys start, like, can you talk a little bit about, you know, how you started it? Like, you know, some of maybe the trials and tribulations you went through at the beginning to kind of where it is now, which is like super polished and super slick looking and,
thank you.
Like that.
So I mean, we have, you know, a photography background, so I think that helped in general. But yeah, we started in our kitchen and at our kitchen table, and I think we even had an old kitchen table that was like hodgepodge together to make a gaming area.
It was cute though.
And then my first thing to get into it was we bought a bunch of C920 Logitech webcams.
Okay.
And I bought like 3 of them, and they're like $50-$60 a pop.
Yep.
And they're fine.
Sure.
You know, they're fine. You don't get to detail the boards very well, and they're passable. You know. So I hooked up like this boom stand that we actually used to have on the floor, but like every time you move, the super thing shakes.
When the kids would walk past, literally the camera was like gung, 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 and it would just start moving up and down.
I don't think we ever had a time where like the quality was just like terrible or anything, but you know, it's definitely not what we wanted, you know, and I'm super picky about that. And it bothers me maybe more than it bothered other people, because you know, you definitely get some leeway when you're fairly new with your equipment and things like that, but I just couldn't stand it.
At one point we had a camera clamped to like a wall in our house,
so that it would be off the floor.
So it would be off the floor, and so there was like huge chunks taken out of this part of the wall all the way up it where it would clamp on, so we had to like repair the wall. But we started in our kitchen, and it's interesting. Just the other day I was looking back at like our first videos, and I'm like, dang, that looks bad. And the other thing too is I'm not a shy person, period. Like I can talk to anybody at any time about anything. But man, in the beginning though, our videos, I wasn't used to that. And I could tell my personality was not there. So it's really fun. Here we are later. Now we're down. We have the studio, and he's been able to geek out down here and like do the lighting the way that he wants. And I just feel more comfortable and like myself.
Yeah, I mean, we've upgraded equipment along the ways and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, you know, and you'll probably hear this from most people, audio is kind of the biggest thing right away. If you have crappy audio, it's just hard to watch. It's one thing to like kind of deal with fuzzy screens and stuff, because some people are just kind of watching it out of the corner of their eye anyway, or they're watching it on a phone and things where like pristine video quality is not like the end all be all of the videos. It's really audio is your best. So I found a couple of cheap but really good lav mics, and we connected those.
Oh, so you guys actually do lav mics. Okay, gotcha. Nice.
We had them with lav mics, and now we have like this little rig
shotgun
above us
mic
here.
or?
It's like this is an XY stereo pair.
I have no idea what that means.
It's like a boom mic kind of thing, yeah.
It's two mics that are like this. It's two like basically instrument type mics.
Yep.
And they're in a pair at a 90-degree angle, so it gets the spread across the both of us, but the audio hits both mics at the exact same time, so you don't get any weird like delays across
that was weird figuring
the winds
that out
and
for a while.
Yeah. And this is the one that's been working best for us. And since we have it downstairs, I could set it up and I don't have to worry about dragging cords in and out every time. And
that was oh my gosh, bringing the gaming studio from upstairs to down here was huge. Like that literally changed everything, because we'd have to set everything up and drag the ropes, or they're not ropes, they're cords across the room, or stretching over the staircase. You know,
it
just
got tiring after a while. So like, you know, sometimes we'd be like, it would take us, you know, a good half hour, you know, to set evereverything up. And if something didn't go right, that was on top of that basic, you know, you had your base half hour because you just had to set everything up. If you had any issues beyond that, that was a whole nother 15, 20, 30 minutes. So we'd be doing this at like an hour plus ahead of time. And some nights just like, no, this is just not.
Yeah. So we knew we needed a studio area to like just flick a light on and go.
And
you know, let's just sit down.
You guys renoed the whole basement, I think. Wasn't I see on Facebook?
Yeah.
Like, you did a big renovation.
Eventually we did. We did just this area that we're kind of sitting in, and then we have like a theater kind of behind the camera over there, and we have, you know, some other things in the basement, obviously like a workroom area and stuff. And so this was renoed. This little section was renoed much before the rest of it was. Okay, we just finished the rest of it.
That was quite a thing, because we just started with like, let's just get this wall pretty, and then all of a sudden like we found mold, and so I'm like, okay.
It was localized. Fortunately,
it was our kids kicked off the chutes outside that drain the water away from the house, so the water was just like tumbling down into the foundation. And I didn't know, like I don't know. So we found localized mold. We were able to gut it, but then here we are now, what, a year, 2 years later, and like we just did everything.
Yeah, we finally did everything.
Then we renoed our bathroom, and now we're gonna rip out carpet. Like we're DIY beasts right now.
Don't remind me.
I don't think people necessarily realize sometimes when they watch content the amount of work that goes into it, right? Like I think some people would say, oh, well, you just throw a camera up and put a light behind you and you're fine. But I mean, even when you're talking about the audio as an example, I can think of times when, you know, I've finished a live video, found out that, you know, my podcast mic wasn't actually connected, and it was pulling the mic from my monitor, which is just like the worst possible sound ever. And I would just whack the video, because I'd say, you know, no one's going to listen to this. So I have to either redub it or find some way to fix it. So I've even re-recorded. I've done interviews sometimes twice, or I've called the person back and said, I'm so sorry. But the technology is just messed up so bad that I don't want to do a disservice to you. Can we redo the interview? And when that's happened, people are really gracious about it. But yeah, I can.
I'm surprised at how many people are gracious when things go wrong, because you always get the more or less silent majority that really just rips you to shred anytime anything goes wrong. And you're like.
That's usually viewers, I find, though. I find people in the industry are very generous with their time.
Absolutely.
They're very generous with advice. Like I have yet to reach out to a content creator or even a publisher to ask for advice on either a game we're working on or some of the content we're creating, where they haven't volunteered more than enough information. It's been really wonderful. It's usually the trolls that are the people just sitting, you know, silently
they don't know how hard it
is, and not necessarily appreciating how hard it is. On that note, I think I do want to give you guys props for the video you did on Nutty Squirrels of the Oakwood Forest. So we had hired you guys to do a preview video, and I would say that was probably my favorite video that was done of all the videos. It was so well done. And I'm serious. It was so well done that I remember my partner here in the office were watching it, and he's like, there's no way you could have done that. I'm like, there's not a chance that any of our content on this game would look even close to what your stuff looked like.
So funny.
Yeah, you guys did amazing.
We appreciate that.
We had fun making it. That's a cute little game.
Yeah, we enjoyed that one. It's
adorable. I loved it. I had so much fun making it, and I just crack up. Like I'm so glad you like the finished product, because we would be trying to say our lines and then I would just completely say something that's not there. Like I just, would mess up, and I'm like, start it again. So in between the clips that you got, there's like me yelling and
Well, I think it speaks to, and what you were saying earlier on this, Ellen, we were saying, you know, Randy is got a kind of a talent for being able to explain games very well.
Absolutely.
You guys were able to take our instructions, read them, and then in your own words, explain how the game worked. And you were able to break it down into kind of its core components in a way that we hadn't even thought to kind of approach it, which I thought was a testament to,
That's awesome.
you know, not only your ability to create good content, but understand material, right? Understand the source material, which I thought was
That's
awesome.
very kind. Thank you. Yeah, Randy's
nice.
you have such a knack for that.
Babe,
good job.
Don't talk about me anymore.
It's too modest.
So now that you guys have kind of found your niche, you've got your look, everything is now kind of set. You can tell now how relaxed you guys are in your videos. Like, I mean, you guys have really hit your stride. Where do you go from here? Like, where do you see We Game Together evolving? Is that going to evolve into other types of platforms? Are you guys going to get into game creation at some point, or kind of what are your thoughts on kind of what the future has to hold?
I'm actually interested in Randy's answer here, because I literally don't know.
Honestly, our biggest struggle right now is getting back into the groove on a regular basis. I mean, we still do our live plays almost every Monday, and that we've skipped quite a few in recent times because of all the renos that we've been doing and things and whatever. But getting stuff consistently on the schedule and stuff is what we're working on next. And basically, I have quite a few ideas of things I want to do, like I said, in the live atmosphere. And a lot of that's going to be playing games. We thought about actually doing a live kind of podcast like you're doing. That's one thing that's definitely been something that we've considered doing, and then kind of reposting it on an actual podcast form and things. And top tens, I really enjoy doing top tens. And those are always popular when we do them, but we've only done like, I want to say 2
They
or
always
3.
are like our most watched videos, but like we never do them.
I know, and that's one of those things. So we have all these ideas, but unless I get them on a calendar in a schedule, they're never going to come to fruition. And here's the thing,
it's not because like the passion isn't there. Like, we have so much fun doing this, and it's really like bonded us uniquely too, and just a whole nother level of our just relationship. It's just been so fun. But it's literally just, you know, and excuses, everybody's busy, but just the 4 kids and the renovations. And now, you know, my youngest got his diagnosis for autism just a year ago. So we're dealing with trying to figure out, you know, therapy. And so it's a lot, but I love anything live, because I love to talk to people. I love to interact with chat and build this rapport with these people who follow you, because they're following you, and that's cool. That's just very humbling and exciting. So I genuinely love to hear back from people, but I think Randy should start doing, and I haven't even told him this, so here's my idea, babe. Ready?
Oh boy.
I think you should really start getting into like game explanations more, not necessarily reviews, but you are so articulate and good with, I mean, just like James was saying with the nutty squirrels, and our friend earlier was saying it today, is that you're really good at articulating, breaking down a rule book and explaining it. So I feel like you'd be really good at that.
Maybe we will do that too.
Lots
as far
of ideas.
as like game design or anything, it's kind of funny. Like, I've never had a desire to do anything like that ever, and I don't think I ever will, to be honest with you. And I don't know why.
So sad.
It's kind of one of those things. Like, I don't know why. I think I would probably enjoy it if I really tried to get into it, but I just I'd have no like initial desire to make.
We just want to play the games.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, if you know the sandbox that you want to play in, as long as you know are the best at that sandbox, that's fine, right? If you guys want to create content and play other people's games, that's awesome. Certainly, this channel is well on its way to some pretty big numbers. You guys do amazing content. If there is any publishers, for instance, that want to reach out to you for some of your amazing preview videos, how best would they do that?
So our We Game Together or We Board Game Together at gmail.com. That's our main email that we use all of our communications with. Otherwise, if you just want to see some of our content and things in general, most of our stuff's on YouTube. We do stuff on Twitch and things, but it's really simulcast with YouTube. So YouTube's always kind of been our main platform. And we're on Instagram quite a bit. So
we have people contact us on Instagram.
Yeah, we have a lot of people contact us through our Facebook channel, our Facebook page, or actually even more so most of our communication honestly comes through Instagram, the messaging system on Instagram. So any one of those things, and we're very responsive to whichever media people prefer to use. We'll catch you there for sure.
Yeah.
And we got a couple people in the lobby. We have Nerd Shelves saying, I guess,
Nerd Shelves.
stalking you guys relentlessly. So.
We know the Nerd Shelves. Wonderful people. They have a channel too.
They're nice enough to be regulars on our live plays on Mondays. Yeah.
And Mike Bruner said a thank you he said he did a great video on Queen Bee prior to his campaign.
Queen Bee was a great game too.
I was pretty excited.
Thank you, Mike.
He was actually asking if one of those machines that you sell could be found at Dunder Mifflin, but I think that would probably be the Sabre brand, so maybe not.
Sabre, yeah, that's right.
So most of our stuff is in
I love that. Sabre.
Most of our stuff is in the corrugated industry.
Gotta watch that again.
Not the paper industry. Paper shredders are completely different than corrugated shredders.
I think one of my brothers actually, they like make the cardboard, like the company he works at, and then my husband's company shreds it. So I laugh.
So they're he works for West Rock.
We shred it.
And West Rock is one of the bigger box manufacturers out there. But we do like cartons and things like that. So like, your Edie's ice cream, like, it's funny the amount of samples that we get to shred. Like we'll do like shred tests.
Oh, nice.
Basically just to see how they come through the machine and, if it's going to make it small enough for their system and stuff. So just over the years, they've gotten like Oakley sunglasses. They've gotten F-150 hoods. Just the amount of, there's all sorts of weird things. I'm just
finding this out now.
And we'll get like, they'll send us like a box, like a pallet full of like flattened cup stock, like for like drinking cups, like Dixie cups.
Yeah.
So because Solo Cup is one of our bigger customers as well. So they send us an entire pallet full, and we shred like this much of it. So we have like this 6-foot pallet. We got like 3 inches of stuff, and then we have all this cup stock. It's like tens of thousands of dollars worth of constructed cups. And we're like, what are we going to do with this? Like,
Wow.
Turn into a board game. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there you go.
There's an idea.
It's perfect.
I'm like, I'll take my glue gun and then I can make a cup.
So as Ellen says, next time we're in the bathroom, we'll think of Randy and his machines and his shredding.
There you go.
Guys, thank you so much for your time. I wish you all the best this coming year. I can't wait to see the content still to come. I wish you all the best. You take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply join the Facebook group Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.